What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Finding Hope podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Bundy. I'm so happy you're here. If you're looking for a sisterhood, a community, friends to do life with and be real with, and figure out how to live in the world while leaving a positive impact and being hopeful for the future and all the great things that this life has in store for you, then you are in the right place, and I'm so excited you're here. If you are new or a returning listener, I know I took a little bit of a hiatus the month of November, but I did want to get a Thanksgiving episode out, so I came back from my little hiatus. But on a personal note, what's been going on in my life is I just really wanted to have a clear vision and direction of how to lead this community, how to build this, how to pour into you guys in a way that I feel like is going to serve you. And that took me kind of stepping back for a second to really pray on that and get clarity, get vision, get direction. I felt really called to just go way more boldly into this podcast and really build God's kingdom. So things are getting a little bit more Jesus-y over here. And even if that isn't what resonates with you, it's still all about mindset, and the biblical principles that I will reference, I hope can still sit with you in a way that makes sense and is understandable and is still applicable no matter where you are in your walk with spirituality, with the Lord, with Christianity. But I definitely just really felt called to bring it back to the Lord, because I know in my life I can look inward all I want and I can have a great mindset all I want. But at the end of the day, it is God that is fulfilling me. It is Him through and through that is transforming me, that is rescuing me, that is radically changing my life and who I am. And I just felt like I wasn't doing you guys a service if I was kind of tiptoeing around that or giving you a watered down version of Jesus, because He's absolutely incredible and is the reason I'm doing anything in my life and breathing today. So, yeah, we're going more Jesus-y, and I'm so excited that you're here. On that note, let's dive right into this week's episode. With Thanksgiving happening literally tomorrow, I wanted to push into how important thankfulness is. And I know it's so cheesy, it's so corny, and it's such a basic concept. Oh yeah, just be thankful, or like, yay, we have a day to be thankful for the things we have. And that's great. However, it actually is so powerful to be thankful and to have a heart of gratitude, to have a mind of gratitude. It is so different to live your life in the state of thankfulness and gratitude versus just spending a day to celebrate the holiday around Thanksgiving. Or every now and then being like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess I have a lot to be grateful for. Like, yep, I need to be more thankful in my life. It's so drastically different and so transformative when thankfulness is literally part of where you're rooted. The Bible is filled with verses that constantly encourage us to give thanks in all circumstances. As we approach the Thanksgiving season, I know it can be so stressful. It can cause so much anxiety. Holidays in general, whether you love them or they bring up a lot of trauma or triggers for you, no matter how great they can be, it can also bring some challenges. And whether that's from family, whether that's school, whether that's work, just an overwhelming amount of stress and pressure put on. I know the holidays, as jolly and lovely as they are, can also kind of stir up some things that aren't as fun to go through and to process and deal with. Philippians 4:6-7 says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I love this verse, friends. This verse has brought up so many different emotions for me throughout my life, because sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, I wish I could not be anxious about anything and just give it to you, God, and all my anxiety disappears. And sometimes that frustrates me. Sometimes this verse can frustrate me. And then other times this verse provides so much clarity and peace and a sense of calm with its promises, and how God's peace is so powerful we cannot even understand it. God wants to know our requests. He wants us to present our requests and our anxieties and our stressors and everything we're dealing with to Him. He wants to take that burden off of us. And so just exploring this verse a little bit more, I love that it says, do not be anxious about anything. And I want to highlight the word anything, because I think it's easy to kind of disregard that when it comes to God, when it's like, okay, like, well, what if I like can't pay my bills? Or what if I like, how am I going to get food this month? Whatever that looks like, that's a big thing, and that's a real thing to get stressed over. And sometimes it's easy to be like, God, of course I'm going to be stressed about this. Like, if I can't survive, then XYZ, that means all of these different things. And no matter how big, whether that's a sickness, or that's an illness, whether that's anything that you or people you love are going through, I love this verse because it calls us to not be anxious about anything, meaning that no matter how big and overwhelming or how small our anxiety is rooted in, it is no match for God. And God is just so much bigger than anything that we could possibly be anxious for. And He can overcome any of that. He can take that on. He can carry that weight. He can hold that anxiety and that stress and take that off of your shoulders, because He's already won that battle. He's already on the other side. He already has claimed victory over that situation. And I love that when it talks about us not being anxious, but in every situation with prayer to give thanks and present your requests to God. I love that it talks about that, because something I found fascinating when I was prepping for this episode is there was a study that was done in 2004 by Robert Emmons and Michael McCullen. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but the study was on gratitude and its effects against anxiety. And this is a quote I want to read from Callie Smith that really struck me. It says, "The most profound thing revealed in this study was that not only does gratitude lessen stress, but gratitude and anxiety cannot coexist in the brain at the same time. Therefore, a possible solution to when we feel anxious is practicing gratitude." So it blew my mind, because scientifically and through the research, through these studies, they have found that not only does gratitude and thanksgiving calm the anxiety, but it cannot coexist at the same time. And then we go to scripture, and God literally is saying, when you're anxious, give it to me, don't be, and instead pray with thanksgiving and present your request to me. And I love that, because it's hard for me sometimes to just stop something, to like stop a bad habit, to quit something, to not be anxious, to not be stressed, and then just be like, okay, now that's gone, but what do I do? Like, what do I do in the meantime? How can I replace that? What is going to fill all that time and energy? Or how do I still feel like I'm doing my part and taking actionable steps? Because if you've listened to my episodes, you know I'm all about actionable steps. And I love this because God's not only saying, hey, don't be anxious and give me your anxiety. He's telling us exactly what to fill all of that with instead. And that response and that answer scientifically is what our brains are wired to do to eliminate anxiety. So it all comes back to giving thanks and having a thankful and grateful heart. And there can totally be times where I have not felt very thankful, or I'm really mustering up every ounce of me to be like, thankful that the sun rose today, thankful for the coffee I had. And it's so mundane, and I might not genuinely feel it. And I could still be sitting there stressed and anxious, because I'm sure if you're listening, you're probably like, Kayla, it's not like, oh, if I say I'm thankful for the drive that I had this morning, that all of a sudden all my anxiety about my finances or about my relationship or about my parents just goes away. Because I get it. No, that's not exactly how that happens, and that's not exactly how that works. As much as that'd be great if it did, no, it's different, like I mentioned at the start of this episode, being thankful versus having a thankful heart. And thankfulness is a practice. It's just like going to the gym, honestly. It's not something that, oh, let me go to the gym once, do some weights, and then great, I have this muscle. And I can rely on this muscle to do the hard things for me, because every now and then I go and I strength train, and then I'm like, great, now I'm prepared. My body should be ready, and I can just lift all these big, heavy things. No, it takes so much practice. It's a muscle you have to build. It's a muscle in your mind. Thankfulness is not something that just takes the weight off when things get hard and you haven't been practicing a heart of gratitude. You haven't been practicing a lifestyle that is so reliant on giving thanks for the things you have and bringing it back to gratitude. So I hope this is encouraging to you in the sense that if you have felt those ways where you're anxious and you try to be thankful and you're like, honestly, I'm still just as anxious as I was. Maybe it's a little better, but I'm still pretty anxious. I had a friend who was not in a great spot, and he was going through a lot, and he was told, like, hey, be thankful. And he was like, okay, yeah, I get it. But he forced himself. And every day he wrote down things that he was thankful for. And at first he was like, honestly, I didn't even feel it. He's like, I wasn't really that thankful for the things I was writing down. I was just forcing myself to do it. And over the course of a few months, he was blown away by how much his circumstances had changed, his mindset had changed, his life had changed, the way he processed, the way he executed things, everything going on. It slowly over time, it sunk in, and it became a part of who he was, and it became a part of his lifestyle. And that habit, whether he emotionally felt that thankfulness or not, it was the habit and the consistency that was slowly transforming and renewing his heart and mind each and every day. And that builds so much mental strength. And in those times where the anxiety is so overwhelming and the stress of it all, the weight of it all is so overwhelming and consuming, having built up that heart posture, it takes such a weight off. And what I've noticed is when I'm living in such a state of gratitude, when these stressful things come, when I'm stressed out financially, when I'm stressed out about stuff with my family, anything like that, it is a totally different size of an issue in my mind when I'm in that state of gratitude. The same situation can be happening, the same scenario, but when I have not been practicing gratitude and been consistent and diligent about it, those things stress me out way more. They seem like way bigger of a struggle, way bigger of a storm to pass. It seems so much more enormous than when I have that same situation or those same things happening, yet I'm in such a state of gratitude. Those things, they seem so much smaller to me because I know, oh, God's got this. I know He's already given me all these things. I know I continuously see Him blessing me. I continuously see the way He's working in my life and in the world. And this is just one more thing that He can come into and He can restore and I can give Him glory for, because nothing has been too big for Him to take. And every time I'm left learning about myself more, learning about God more, having a new sense of strength, having a better confidence in myself or in my faith. And it's stressful, yes. It doesn't mean that I never feel these anxious emotions. No, I do. But the weight of them is drastically different. And the way I execute how I'm going to handle that anxiety is drastically different. So how do we make thankfulness become a posture and become part of our lifestyle? I think the best way to start is every morning when you wake up and every night before you fall asleep, write down 3 things that you're thankful for. And challenge yourself to not just do it for one day. Try it for 2, try it for 3, and try to get to 30 days. Something that I saw somebody do when it came to thankfulness that I cannot wait to do, and I want us to do it as a little challenge together for this week. Just this week, it's manageable, just the next 7 days. But they created a photo diary of thankfulness. And I think it'd be an amazing idea for us to take photos of the things we're thankful for all throughout this next week. And whether that's your dog, Pixie Rose will definitely be in my little thankfulness diary, or the coffee you had, or the walk that you went on, all of these little things I cannot wait to take photos of. And when you feel those moments of gratitude, pull out your camera and just snap a photo. And I'm so excited to, like, at the end of the week, post all the photos of all the little things that stood out to me that I was thankful for and grateful for. And I cannot wait to see yours, because I'm sure what I find so much gratitude in is so different from you and to the next person. And to be able to see where all of our hearts are and the little things that brought us joy all throughout this next week is going to be so much fun. So definitely join me in that little challenge, because I would love to see all the little photos that you guys have taken and create like a little folder that is just your diary of thankfulness. Have you guys ever noticed how expressing gratitude not only impacts yourself, but also the people around you? And whether you have been on the receiving end of that or the giving end of that, I know for me personally, when I'm in stressful situations, or even I'm just going about my day and I encounter someone, whether that's a friend or a stranger, who is just exuding gratitude, it affects me deeply. And that positivity, that sense of gratefulness and joy, it's so contagious. And it puts things in perspective for me. And especially with everything going on in the world right now, there have been such pivotal people that I've encountered where they are so thankful and grateful for their safety, thankful for the people that are returning, thankful for all of these things. And it has shifted my mind into returning to, oh my gosh, I am truly so blessed. I am truly so thankful for the things that I have, for where I am, for the family I have, for everything going on, that I'm able to celebrate Thanksgiving, all of these things. And it's such a ripple effect. So don't just live in a thankful state for yourself, but it is such a ripple effect, and thankfulness is so contagious. Just like negativity is contagious, think about what you want to infect the people around you with and draw from a place of gratitude. Psalms 107, verse 1 says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever." So, friends, I just want to encourage you that whether Thanksgiving is such a happy time for you and you have a million things to be thankful for, or it's really stressful and you're anxious about the certain family members or the certain friends or past relationships that you might have to see when you go visit your old hometown, know that the Lord is with you. His love is so good. It is everlasting. And by having a thankful heart, it will alleviate so much of that stress and anxiety. Thank you so much for joining me on the Finding Hope podcast, where we explored the richness of Thanksgiving from a biblical perspective. And as we gather with our loved ones this Thanksgiving, I hope we remember the biblical call to give thanks in all circumstances. Wishing you guys a blessed and joyful Thanksgiving season. I love you all, and I cannot wait to see your photo diaries. Happy Thanksgiving!